Hey, what's up y'all? I'm Charlie. On today's episode, I'm going to be showing y'all how to make my delicious New Orleans Mirliton dressing from scratch. Now it's pronounced Mirliton, but in New Orleans we say Mirliton. It also goes by another name called Chayote. It has several different names according to region, but it's mostly common and well known in the New Orleans area. Now as for the dressing, it's very similar to how we make our dressing for our stuffed bell peppers down in New Orleans, except for using the ground beef, we're using the Mirlitons, okay? We also add our shrimp and make a shrimp stock with that, of course, our ham seasoning and the crab meat, along with some butter, little eggs for texture and flavor, and my favorite blend of New Orleans seasonings to create a wonderful, delicious, and flavorful dish. It's actually more healthier than using a ground beef because basically it's squash. This recipe calls for about 12 servings. It's perfect for holidays and it's absolutely delicious. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, here's all what you'll need to make your homemade New Orleans Mirliton dressing. Let's get started with our ingredients. You will need 4 pounds of fresh Mirlitons, 2 or 3 pounds of fresh small Louisiana shrimp, 1 pound of blue crab puree. If you don't have this, you can use the regular crab meat, 1 pound of that as well. And along with that, you're going to need 1 pound of ham seasoning, large eggs at room temperature, salted butter, breadcrumbs, it could be plain or Italian style. And for your seasonings, you'll need some salt, black pepper, cayenne pepper, Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning. You can also use Zatarain's Creole seasoning or Slap Your Mama Cajun seasoning. Chef Paul put on Seafood Magic. I have the link to where you can purchase these in the description box. Onion powder, garlic powder, and for your additional seasonings, you will need 1 yellow onion, some green onion, celery, bell pepper, garlic, some dried parsley, and some dried thyme. And to bake your Mirliton dressing, you will need a 10 by 13 inch deep dish glass or metal pan. And there we have it. Alright, let's get straight to it. So I'm gonna get started by chopping up 1 yellow onion. Alright, now I'm gonna go ahead and chop up some green onions. Now I'm gonna get started with chopping the ends first and just work my way forward. I'm gonna use mostly the ends though. Alright, now I'm gonna go ahead and rinse off my celery and my bell pepper. And I'm gonna also rinse off my Mirlitons. Alright, next up I'm going to go ahead and chop up 3 ribs of celery. Oh, my cutting skills is off today. Now I'm going to chop 1 green bell pepper. Alright, here I have 4 cloves of garlic. Now I'm going to chop the garlic up until it is minced. Alright, here we have a Mirliton. You can peel the Mirliton. You could just take a potato peeler and just peel the Mirliton if you like. That's totally optional if you want to do that. I'm going to just take my knife and I'm going to just carefully cut this in half. Voila! Now here I have the seed of the Mirliton. I'm going to just take a spoon and I'm just going to dig that out. Now I'm going to go ahead and chop the Mirliton into medium-sized cubes. And once done, I'm going to take the Mirliton pieces and I'm going to just add them into this large bowl here. Alright, I've added some cold water into this large bowl with the squash. I just filled it up a little bit past the squash cubes. And to that, I'm going to add 1 1/2 teaspoons, about a cupful of vinegar. And I'm going to just give this a quick stir. It'll help clean the squash, prevent it from turning colors, and it'll also prevent the squash from overcooking. Now I'm gonna let this sit for about 4 minutes. Don't let it sit any longer than 4 minutes. Once done soaking, you just add your Mirlitons, your cubed Mirlitons, into this mesh frame. And from there, you could just let them sit in there until it's ready to be cooked. Now as for the ham seasoning, I'm gonna take the large chunks of ham and I'm gonna just chop this into small bite-sized cubes. And you're only going to need about 1/2 pound of this. Alright, now let's get started with our shrimp. So here we have a shrimp. We're just going to remove the head off and place that into this bowl here. Now I'm going to peel off the shell off of the shrimp tail. I'm going to take the shrimp shell and place that in one bowl, and I'm going to take the shrimp tail and place that into a separate bowl. Alright, now here's the shrimp's digestive tract, and I'm going to just take a sharp knife and I'm going to carefully cut out the back of the shrimp. And as you can see there's the digestive tract. Just take your finger and pull that out. And there you go, the vein shrimp. Alright, I've added my shrimp into this mesh strainer, and I'm just going to rinse it off with cold water. Now once done, you can take this and place this into your refrigerator. Heat your fire to medium heat. Alright, let's get started with cooking our Mirlitons. So in this large pot, I added 2 1/2 quarts of water, and of course that's at a simmer. And to that I'm going to add about 2 teaspoons of salt. And I'm going to give this a quick stir. I'm going to add the cubed Mirliton right on in there. Now I'm going to go ahead and give this a quick stir. Let this simmer for 30 minutes. Alright, it's been about 30 minutes now. And our Mirlitons should be done. Now the best way to tell is if you take a fork and insert into the Mirliton and it come out clean, that lets you know that it is done. Turn the fire off. Now I'm going to add the Mirlitons into this mesh strainer. Now I'm going to let this cool for about 30 minutes, or just let it cool off until it's warm. Preheat your fire to medium heat. Alright, now let's get started with our shrimp stock. So in this medium sized pot, I added 1 1/2 quarts of water. I'm going to add some seasoning. We're going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1/8 of a teaspoon of black pepper, 1 teaspoon of Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning, and 1 teaspoon of Chef Paul Prudhomme's Seafood Mirliton. I'm going to just give this a quick stir. Now I'm going to add these shrimp heads and shells. Oh, that's nothing but good flavor right there. Now I'm going to go ahead and give this a quick stir. Let this simmer for 45 minutes. Alright y'all, it's been about 45 minutes now for our shrimp stock, and it is done. Look at that. Turn the fire off. Now I'm going to add the shrimp stock into this mesh strainer with a medium-sized bowl underneath it. Just press that down in there. Just pull this out. And there you have it. Homemade shrimp stock from scratch. Yummy. Now once done, you should have about 3 cups of shrimp stock in here. Preheat your fire to medium heat. Alright, now let's get started with making our dressing. So in this large pot, we're going to add 6 tablespoons of salted butter. We'll just swirl that around. We'll let that melt. Alright, now let's go ahead and add some seasoning. I'm going to add 1 1/2 cups of chopped yellow onion, 1/3 cup of chopped green onion, 1 cup of chopped celery, about 2/3 cup of chopped green bell pepper, and I'm going to add the garlic in just a second, so hold that on the side. Now I'm going to go ahead and give this a quick stir. Alright, that looks good. Now I'm going to let this saute for 10 to 12 minutes, stirring occasionally. Add your Mirliton pieces. Now let's go ahead and add some seasoning. I'm going to add about 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning, 1 teaspoon of Chef Paul Prudhomme's Seafood Magic, 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, a 1/2 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, 2 teaspoons of onion powder, 2 teaspoons of garlic powder, 1 1/2 teaspoons of dried thyme, and 2 teaspoons of dried parsley. Oops, sorry y'all, forgot to add the 1 tablespoon of garlic in there. I'm going to go ahead and give this a quick stir. Now you're going to let this saute for about 3 to 4 minutes. Add your shrimp, your 1/2 pound of cubed ham, and a 1/2 pound of your crab meat or your blue crab puree. Now I'm going to go ahead and give this a quick stir. Let this simmer for 1 minute. Turn your fire off. Add 1 1/4 cups of shrimp stock and 1 1/4 cups of breadcrumbs. Now I'm going to go ahead and give this a quick stir. Make sure your fire is turned off. Let this cool for about 15 minutes. Alright, I've whisk together about 2 large eggs. Let me just add that in there. Let me just go ahead and give that a quick stir. Now I'm going to go ahead and lightly butter the bottom and the sides of my baking pan. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and preheat my oven to 375 degrees. Now I'm going to add the Mirliton dressing mixture into the baking pan. I'm going to just spread this around as evenly as possible. Now as a final garnish, I'm going to sprinkle some breadcrumbs right on top. Now it is ready to be baked. Now you're going to place this into a preheated 375 degree oven on the bottom rack. And you're going to bake this for 35 to 40 minutes. Alright, it's been about 35 minutes now for our Mirliton dressing. Now let's go ahead and remove this out of the oven. Let this cool for about an hour before serving. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. New Orleans stuffed Mirliton dressing, made by a New Orleans native. Now it's time to go ahead and take a bite. And it got that nice little crust on top. Woo! Y'all, when I tell y'all this is good, it is delicious. I mean, it's soft, it's moist, it's flavorful. You can taste the flavors of the Mirliton, the ham, the shrimp, and that crab meat and those seasonings. Oh, so good. Woo! I'm telling y'all, try the recipe. It is a winner. Hey y'all, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like my channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell button if you want to be notified of my videos. I have an official website for all of my recipes, including this fabulous New Orleans homemade Mirliton dressing recipe. You can go to www.charliethecookandrews.com. I'm also on Facebook and on Instagram under the name charliethecookandrews. So until next time, take care, and I hope you all have a great day. Peace.